Here we are, LW Stories. I don't know, episode 1, probably.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd be sitting with my younger brother in a podcast room talking about our business
Yeah.
in another country, in Australia. How cool is this? Very cool.
Big achievement, yeah.
Yeah, you've been here a bit more than I have, a couple of years more.
Yeah.
You came here when you were 18.
Yes, fresh.
Yeah.
After high school, 2018, yeah.
Do you feel like an Aussie now?
Not really, but I resonate a lot with the country. Very interesting. I have two homes. They both... Because I came when I was young, so doing uni here and growing up here is different to coming on a later stage.
True.
18 is very young, straight out of high school.
You probably have a completely different experience than I do. Like I came here when I was 26, 27.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot before coming here.
Mm.
But the start of your career started in Australia.
Yeah.
How did you come about to leave at such a young age, take such a big step? I tried to leave when I was 18, but couldn't do it. It felt a lot bigger than me.
Yeah. But because you didn't leave, because there's 7 years difference, and even my elder brother, I thought that coming here was not a good idea until all my resources in Lebanon were depleted. I finished high school and I got accepted in a private uni, and I got a kind of like a scholarship, 25%, which was decent from a film I made. But that was not enough. The economic situation was crashing in Lebanon and I could not afford it. So I went and applied to the Lebanese university, which is almost free. And I got accepted. I think out of 1,000 contestants, I scored number 26. But they needed 30, so I'm like, oh, I'm sorted, all good. And then a couple of weeks later, they called me like, oh, actually, no, we need 20. Someone put in a favor, probably the son of a parliamentarian or whatever it is. And I thought, let me use that notebook in my drawer, the passport. I have an Australian passport from my dad. Might as well use it and come here. And because I'm doing filmmaking, going to a different country and learning new skills that are different, I thought if I come back to Lebanon, I have something more to show. And I remember during that period when I was applying to unis over here, I was on a set and the DP was German. And I was inspired by him, like, if he's German coming to Lebanon to work, then if I go to Australia and come back, I could as well. It's like, it's increasing my options. And when I asked him this, he said, yeah, go for it. Like, go if you want to go live there and come back, or if you want to just go and study and come back, it will give you a big push. And yeah, took a decision. Hardest decision till date I've done. Most important one as well.
Yeah.
Leaving the family, we're a family of 6, leaving that, deciding to just go to a different country, opposite side of the world, different time zone. It was a big decision.
And looking back on that decision now, how do you feel? You feel you made the right choice?
Oh, big time, yes. The right choice, definitely. I would not, if I go back in time, I would do the same decision again.
And given your, before coming here, did you have any experience in working in Lebanon?
Well, luckily I got introduced to Amin Dora, who is my friend's uncle, and he's a Class A director in Lebanon. Great guy. He gave me the opportunity to be on set. And the first set I've ever been to, by far is the largest set I've ever been to so far. So I had a great experience. It was a $400,000 budget for a Blombank ad in Lebanon. It was a 7-day pre-production and a 5-day shoot. And I was on all of it. So I witnessed the industry before I even finished school. So this is how I knew this is exactly what I want to do in my life. So that gave me a lot of exposure, that gave me a lot of understanding to the industry, and that gave me the big push and the assurance I needed to be like, yes, this is what I want to do. It is long hours. At the first ever set I've been to, I did an 18-hour day, but it was worth it. I didn't even think of like, I'm tired or I want to go home. I was like, I'm here for it.
What was your role on that set?
I was just a production assistant. Or shouldn't say just, I was a production assistant, but because I was referred from Amin himself, so I was always kind of like going and checking what does the director do. I was behind him, I was looking after actors, sort of like between an AD and a production assistant. And the producers loved me, and it was my first time going to Beirut because I was like 17 at the time, 17 and a half. So it was the first time going to Beirut alone and meeting all these like adults, but no one felt like I was a kid. And they all loved my work. I was asking so many questions, and you can feel that people always want to kind of like give advice and share from their experiences, which I gladly took. Like, yes, please talk to me. I was friends with the location manager. I came before the location manager, which is the first person I said no, really. It was 4 a.m. Yeah, great experience.
That's cool. And how did working with Amin Dora inspire you? Like, what was the image of the director then for you?
It was a little bit ambiguous because growing up, we always watched films with my dad, films, but mostly Hollywood films in Lebanon. But I had no clear understanding of how does it work and why is it so expensive? And who is the creative? Who is the person in charge? Because when you have a vision, someone has to deliver it. So that gave me an understanding the importance of a director. Like in pre-production, he's like I saw Amin going over and like cast director coming to talk to him and a DP, and he has so many meetings and every decision is made has to come through him, just to make everything kind of warp together and be that one image that he envisioned. So that gave me an understanding that this is exactly what I want to do. I enjoyed being a director without even experiencing it. But then I kept my choices open and I tried to do different roles as well.
Cool. And when did you get into film? Like you grew up very quickly. I have memories of you when you were 10, 11, 12, and suddenly you're 18. You're going, you were still at school, but you're going to work. You're hustling when you're 18, of course, because the economic situation at home was very bad. But you were hustling, you were working in restaurants, you were working on sets. So you grew up very fast. When did you get into film? And what got you into film other than that first experience?
Well, funny story. The reason why I got into film is because someone at work gifted you a camera. Joe Azar, I still remember. It was Christmas and he gifted you a Canon 1200D, which I still have. Yeah. And it was always around at the house. And I'm like, what is this? I'm curious. And it's a professional camera. It looked different to the small Kodak cameras that you used to have. So then I started playing around with it and in the garden, just taking photos and then showing my friends at school. And everyone said, oh my God, you have an eye. You're talented. You should pursue that. I'm like, what do you mean? I just clicked the photo. And back then I had no idea what's editing or just any image came out of the camera, that's the final image. And I remember I took like a beautiful shot of a butterfly in the garden and like the stars, and I was just curious. And people told me you are talented, which I never believed, but I was curious. And then because of that, I was like, I can tell stories through a lens, through a picture, through a video, which meant a great deal for me because I really wanted to tell stories. From there, that evolved into pursuing it as a career at 18 and deciding that I traveled to Australia and pursued fully.
Nice. How has your experience been in Australia in this career?
It's been great. It was very hard at the beginning because when I came here, I came just before my uni, 3 months before my uni. Broken English, no money in my pocket. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm like, I'm here for it. I was so excited. Because every day I went to uni for 2 years at JMC Academy. And every day I went to uni, it was like heaven for me. I was excited. I was waking up early. I lived an hour and a half away in the train every morning. But I was driven big time. And then when I asked my friends in Lebanon how they're doing, how's uni life, they're like, oh my God, so many assignments, boring, I don't want to wake up. I was always that crazy person who's like excited to be there. And I learned a lot. But because I had no one here, it was very difficult for me. So like when I did some fundraising for projects at uni, I had really no one to show or to still have support from when it comes to like crowdfunding and all that. But I made friends, I learned a lot, I tried every single role I can. I tried sound, flopped it, said I'm never going to do sound again. I tried producing, very stressful. I'm like, all right, maybe not.
And then you didn't try color grading because you're colorblind.
Well, I actually did. I am colorblind, yes, but George Miller is also colorblind, the guy who did Fury Road.
Fine.
So, I see color differently, I would say. And then when I tried camera, I knew that this is where I want to be. Behind the camera, telling stories, making sure the image is getting together. And then on my senior film, I got to be writer-director, which I knew exactly where I want to be. So I'm a hybrid of camera, assist, behind the camera, / writing films, directing them. That's my playground.
Tell me about your film.
Oof. Well, that was not my first film. I've done a film before, which made me win a scholarship in Lebanon. And it's very cool because it the first ever project I've done in moving picture was a storytelling challenge. We had like 4 items that we needed to tell a story through: a coffee mug, glasses, eyeglasses, a toy, and a clock. They only gave us this, and they said, create something with it. And I did it with my friend, Yara Lahoud, and we actually won. It was a great story. We actually, I made my mom, I made my mom be my actress. I woke her up at 7, like, Mom, please. And then she actually acted.
Mom would never put herself in front of the camera.
No, Mom, family photo she's out of. She doesn't like. And sorry, bro, but we made her lose you. So I put a picture of you dead because there's a car accident that happened. I ran and killed you. But it was an impactful story, and people loved it, and we won an award. And yeah, so my film that I did in the senior film was a bit more elaborate because I've learned lighting, I've learned sound, I've learned script writing, so I was able to direct the story and tell it more deeply and reach people's emotion. And it was a very personal story, yet not. So I created a character, and I told stories about traumas, my personal traumas or other people's traumas. It was very heavy, even filming it, like looking back at it. The whole set was heavy. It was like about suicide. It was about people losing their lives, back then the Beirut explosion happened. I kind of combined everything and just unleashed it into one film. I thought I was doing the wrong choice because it's very heavy. But the way I approached it and the way we filmed it and the attitude I kept on set, a lot of people told me that was great because I was serious, but at the same time I was keeping the tone a little bit light because it's a sensitive topic. And I think because it was so true, because my grandfather committed suicide and then I put it into film, it made people stop empathizing with me, and they understood, like, if you're talking about it, that's okay to talk about it. Because it's always a very sensitive topic. And people often, when they hear that, they immediately shut off and be like, okay, let's not talk about it. But how can I process something without talking about it? And then I made a film about that. And while writing the film, I even had to ask Mom some questions about him just to understand him better and write like a background story, which kind of turned into a therapy session, which I don't think that ever happened with Mom. It was very intense, but I felt like talking to her about it was some sort of relief to her because she had to also process. And yeah, I think it came out, and I also processed it, and it came out well.
Wow. What was it called?
Not My First Time. So it's a story about a lady who has committed suicide before. That's why it's called Not My First Time. And this time she's battling, and she's about to kill herself, and then someone comes in out of nowhere. We don't know who that guy is. He stops her, and then they go sit downstairs in the living room, and she starts sharing to him what she's feeling, the heaviness. And then he shares his part, how his grandfather committed suicide, and how things are also heavy for other people, which made her realize that sometimes people's stories also affect, and you're not alone in this. That person ends up helping her and motivating her not to kill herself because it's not worth it, because you can fix things, you can always work on it. And then in the end of the film, we realize that that person did not exist. That person was in her imagination, that person was her in a different form, and helping her to just get over her traumas and, live after that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you want to be that person for your grandpa?
Yeah, for sure. Because, you always have questions, right, that no one can answer anymore because the person who can answer them is gone. I wanted to be that person for him, just to help him be like, you don't need to go this extreme. You can do it differently. You can resort to something else.
Well, you can be that person for another person.
Exactly.
Maybe your friend did that for someone else.
I hope so. Exactly why I did this film, and to money more.
Proud of you, bro.
Thank you.
What do you want to do? If you had an unlimited budget today, what film would you want to do?
Good question. Unlimited budget, that's tempting. I like thrillers. I love playing around with time travel, thrillers. I have a film idea in mind where I want to do a loop kind of film. So it's actually what I did in my short film as well. So you can tell when there's an obsession, and I think the first or second film, when you look at them, you understand the director's vision. Like when you look at Christopher Nolan's first film, you understand why he's so obsessed with things like that. So I want to do a film about time travel, and then that person who ends up seeing them in the first scene is the same person that is in the last scene, and they're helping themselves, their younger selves, around. Very similar to what I've already done, but in a more elaborate form, in a more interesting storytelling form. I also have, I love history. Anything that related to anything before I was born, 2000. Love it. Like I'm so curious about it, and I love reading about it. So I want to make a film about the war in Lebanon, but take a different approach to it. These are my main two projects that I want to surely do.
You've got a tattoo.
Yes, yeah. This is the triquetra. So this was inspired by the series Dark.
What a series.
Dark changed my life. Like, I know it sounds like very like, oh yeah, whatever. I actually did the storytelling in that series. It's insane. I was studying film at the time, and for people who study film, we are breaking down every single scene. Where's the light coming from? What's that? You know, like you just start to process film differently. And for me, it's a great way. I enjoy it, but I could not do that in Dark. It was so well made. The storyline, the acting, the lighting was so well made. I couldn't imagine how they filmed it even. And it talks about time travel, and it talks about how everything is connected, and how whatever you do will come back, and how everything you try to change won't. So yeah, it inspired me, and I was watching it just after I did my short film, or just before that. So that also inspired me to do that loop in my scene in my film.
What a cool series. You're watching it in German.
German,
in
yeah.
the middle of COVID. It's all dark and intense, and you're reading the subtitles, but you're so immersed in the story. It's amazing. And what about your second tattoo? It's also related to film.
Yeah. The second tattoo is called the 9 Strokes of Alfred Hitchcock. This tattoo, only old people can guess it. So Alfred Hitchcock is this great English director, speaking from the 40s to 60s. And he inspired me a lot. I grew up, in uni, I was watching his films a lot. And because his films are in the 60s, this was my dad was like 15, 20 at that time. He's an old man. So he was going to the cinema and telling me the experience of watching this film brand new in the cinema. Like The Birds, like Psycho. Psycho is my favorite film. A lot of people laugh when I tell them Psycho is my favorite film. They're like, why a 1960 black and white film is your favorite? The storytelling in this film is insane. Every frame, if you pause, you can understand the characters, the birds from behind. Like I've done like a video essay about it just to understand it. It's great. And back then, filmmaking was so limited. The budget also was limited. The equipment were limited. So to go and tell a story like that, which in today's life, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks weird. That insane scene in the shower for some people looks very tacky. Back then, this was a revelation. This was like a breakthrough in cinema. They were not allowed to show toilets even back then. And Alfred Hitchcock, I was always like against that and like took it a step up. So, and I didn't want to do a classic tattoo of like the clapper or whatever. I always want to be different, of course, and not boring. So, yeah, I made the Alfred Hitchcock's face.
Was that a self-portrait?
No, no.
Alfred Hitchcock?
It's a side portrait. So maybe you can show it actually. So it's 9 strokes. So you've got the collar here. He always wore suits, of course, 1960s. He was a bit of a chubby man. So he had this is his chin here, lips.
Double chin?
Yep, big time. Nose, forehead, and he had a few hairs left. He always spoke so slowly. And so yeah, it's on here. It's my first ever tattoo that I've done, and I wanted to.
So who did that for him?
So it's a famous. Alfred Hitchcock was always cameoing in his films, so everyone knew how he looked like.
Yeah,
he was a very funny man. I would say he was scared from the egg, but he made the first ever slasher film. So Scream.
Yeah,
Scream is in the slasher genre, and slasher came from Psycho. So slasher means anything that involves a knife and. So he inspired so many people. Every time you see a shower scene in any film or any series you watch is a homage to Alfred Hitchcock's shower scene. And if you watch that and then you watch whatever they're doing, you'll see it's the same.
Remember the sound of that scene.
And when the water comes out and the music, yeah.
I don't know if I'm inspired by film that much. The kinds of film that I used to love, Gladiator, Braveheart, these were my films, Kingdom of Heaven, and but I never got into filmmaking because of these films. My journey is completely different when it comes to film. Even today, I call Interstellar one of my favorite films. Seen it many times. Saw it in the theater when it first came out. But my inspiration comes from completely different, from people, from experiences that I've had. Like my journey into telling stories was me being inspired by other people's stories. Like, I couldn't believe, is this here in Lebanon? We're very young, and we lived in a little bubble. As much as we think Lebanon is a small country, you can live in little bubbles in Lebanon, and in our area, it's kind of uniform. It's mostly Christians in our area. At uni, it was mostly Christians, etc. And we started at uni. Was doing hospitality and tourism, and then we wanted to discover other areas in Lebanon and other villages in Lebanon for that project. Introduction to sustainable tourism. And it was the first time for me going to Tripoli. I was mind blown. I was like, this is insane. The chaos, the energy, the old souk, the people, the hospitality, all of those things happening all at once, and we were never exposed to it. It was a revelation for me. So we started making it a goal to go and discover an area in Lebanon once a week with a group of boys in my Subaru in the car. Mm-hmm. And we used to play a game that we're going to travel without Google Maps, and wherever it takes us, takes us. So we'd go south. I remember very well. We're from the south. My dad is from the south on his ID. He didn't grow up in the south. He had to leave the south, of course, because Israeli invasions and everything. So we went south, and we didn't have our maps in, and we're village after village, and people were hosting us, making us stop for coffee. And it was amazing for us. And we stayed at my friend's place in the south, and telling us all of these stories. So all of these stories about these villages, about the Al Tashif, the Beaufort Castle, which now again is an Israeli occupation. But they're telling us these stories about their land, about their connection to the land, and you can understand so much about people from the land. Every corner in the south has a story. Every little house, every stone wall has a story. Every olive tree tells a story of generations and generations. People are so attached to their lands in Lebanon, especially in the south, because they fought so hard for this land. And watching everything that's happening today, watching Israel destroying everything in the south in such a spiteful manner is crazy, and made me realize even more today that telling stories about the South, about the food, about the people, about their stories, about their journeys, about their plight, about their fights, is more important than ever today, because it becomes what we're attached to. It becomes what we come back from. In Gaza, we learned about Gaza from people's stories. And now people are going to be born in a Gaza today, but they're going to still be attached to the stories that their parents are going to tell them. And they're going to rebuild Gaza from these stories. Civilizations can be rebuilt from stories. And I realized that at a young age. I don't know why I was obsessed with cameras. I remember my first camera was an MP4.
Ah, yeah.
So MP4, I don't know if you...
The silver one.
Yeah, it was silver. 2-megapixel camera. And it took video. Like, imagine taking video on something like that. And I always had it at school. And then Nimr Abu Nassar on Mix FM radio, he had a competition, and I called Nimr Abu Nassar and was like, Nimr, hook me up, and I don't know what was the competition about, and I won a Nokia N8.
Oh, the N8.
Nokia N8 was an avant-garde phone.
Yeah.
It had a xenon flash, like the same flash that's on professional cameras. It was so good. It was crazy good. It took amazing pictures. So I took that everywhere I went. I had in my school, truce. What do you call a truce? Pen case?
Yeah.
There was a hole. I cut a little hole, and that hole was exactly the length of the length of the camera, so I can keep filming at school. So I was always taking pictures of us at school. It was prohibited to have a phone at school and take a camera to school. But I'm so grateful I did that. I have so many memories today. Like, I have a big archive. Some people, every time I open my laptop and plug my hard drives in, everyone knows they're in for for a journey down memory lane.
I call you the SD card of our family. Like, I know myself growing up because of you, because you took all these pictures and
weird. I had an obsession with cameras when I was young. I took so many pictures. Maybe I didn't realize, but my first ever film was made because of this footage at school. So we graduated from high school in 2011. I had my camera the whole time, and I was friends with two boys, Rawad Al-Hashim and Paco Francis. Paco's no longer with us. I took a lot of shots, and Rawad Al-Hashim was going into film. He knew, I think when he was 16, that he wanted to go into film. I was taking all these pictures on our last day of school. We do something silly. We almost set the school on fire. We almost destroyed the school. But there was this tradition that you've got to create chaos on your last day. And on our last week, we created chaos. I remember we got 4 chickens, okay? And our plan was to release them at school. I bought the chickens from from our local guy. He used to sell eggs and sell chicken. I bought them for 12,000.
wow.
One of them died, okay? So one of these chickens died, so I had 3 chickens left. And we gave him a collar with a number. So it was 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I didn't change the numbers. So it was 1, 2, and 4. And we released them at school.
I remember that day.
And so everyone was running around chasing the chickens. It was animal cruelty. We didn't know back then. Chasing the chickens. And 3 chickens were caught. But the school principal kept on looking for chicken number 1, 2, 4, chicken number 3. And they sent our friend Elio Frem to look for number 3, and we were all looking for number 3. And me and Raad and Lisha and the boys, we're the only ones that knew that there's no chicken number 3. It's only 3 chicken. It was amazing. I caught a bit of that on camera. Oh. Like, imagine I have memories of this. And then all of whatever happened on that last day and whatever we filmed during our last year of school, Paco, my friend, he always wanted to leave a legacy and always wanted to make money. Rawad wanted to edit and create film, and I had a lot of footage. So we made a film called The Chosen Ones. And it was about our year's journey, our promo's journey, and the last bit of chaos that we created at school. And they put it into CDs, and they sold it. It was Chosen Ones because 2011, the 2 ones. Yeah. And I think that was my first ever
film. Fully produced.
Part in a film. Rawad and Paco made all the money. I didn't get anything.
Oh, wow.
And I think that was a great story. I didn't know I was taking part in professional production at the time. My dad used to tell a lot of stories.
Oh, yeah.
My dad reads a lot in the Bible, and he taught us a lot about life and religion through the Bible. He used to read a lot for us from the Bible. Every single day, he'd have a story for us. And I don't know if we realized at the time, only today when I was walking here trying to think about what we should be saying on this podcast, I thought, actually, like, storytelling is my dad's thing. Yeah. Maybe unconsciously we learned that from him.
Yeah, and his stories, because he's an engineer, so he always traveled for work.
Traveled all over the world.
And then his stories were always so captivating for me because, first of all, he's our hero, right? So you're proud of him. Yeah. So you're listening with everything. But also I think that sparked my creative imagination. So if he tells me I'm in the sea and I'm building this pipe and whatnot, in my mind, there's a sound of the waves. There's like the waves crashing, the boat moving. Like, my mind processed it differently. And I think that kind of like trained my mind to be able to creatively think.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. My dad was always traveling. He's always telling us about his work, but we've never seen it. There are barely any pictures of him at work. So all our lives, I'm in Azerbaijan, I'm in the desert, I'm on an oil rig. And we're creating those scenarios in our minds. We don't know what it's actually like.
I think that's why, if you think about it, that's why you loved taking photos so much, because every time we open the album, it's like Dad when he was young, his biggest achievements, his mom when she was younger and she was traveling. So unconsciously this keeps, like, you want to keep that and in the future look at it and remember.
Yeah. I remember he gave me a floppy disk once. Floppy disk. It was 2 megabytes. You were too young to understand.
But I used it, but I don't remember.
The floppy disk, and it had photos of him in Ethiopia. He had a full album of him. I think I still have it on one of my hard drives. Yes. It came on a floppy disk.
Wow.
You know that save icon? That save icon that you actually click to save any project looks like a floppy disk. True. No one knows. No one knows. It's an actual floppy disk.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so that was a save. Cool.
So your childhood was a lot of storytelling through you taking photos or you hearing them?
Yeah.
And hospitality, like when you went to the south, experiencing hospitality.
True.
Everyone knows like Lebanese people are very hospitable, and you grew up with this.
Yeah. We grew up around hospitable people, my aunties, my uncle, my Amto Hana and Ammo Ili and Kuku. But also we grew up in restaurants. Like we had to work at a very young age in Lebanon. And we grew up in restaurants. I was 15 when I was in restaurants. And at first it was tough for us. Like you had to be working. So we were still at school, 15 years old. None of our friends, it's a private school, it's a nice school. None of our friends were working on their weekends. At that time, my dad had a break from work, and he wanted us to work. At one point, needed to work, but it was a very important experience for us. It was the first time getting out of the protective shell that we were in to kind of experience the world. I learned a lot. You learn a lot about people in hospitality. You learn a lot about storytelling in hospitality. And I've spent my life in restaurants. I've managed amazing restaurants and small places. And you realize that hospitality is all about storytelling. All of the food culture, our food culture is about storytelling. Every dish that we serve on our Lebanese table has a story rooted in hundreds and hundreds of years of history. Like that gets served every single day, but there's so much stories to tell about people through food and hospitality. An amazing privilege to have access to so many cultures and foods in Australia. Like there's so many immigrants have established communities here that you get to learn about their cultures through their food.
Yeah.
Even when we were working at Six Head, I was running Six Head. I worked at Six Head for more than 5 years. And I learned a lot. It was my first professional experience in Australia. I learned a lot from Six Head, and I got to give back to the people, to the guests, to the staff. Massive operation, $500,000 a week, 160 staff, to be running this whole machine. And yet, what it comes down to is small stories. I understood that marketing and storytelling happens on the tables. And a successful business is managing to tell a good story through your food, through your chef, through your setting, through your atmosphere, through your dress, through your staff, that people want to associate themselves with you. You tell a good enough story and people want to be part of it.
Yeah.
And you create loyalty, you create raving fans. Like people take pride in coming to Six Head, getting a booking at Six Head maybe the last minute because they know Sari or they've been there so many times. I've been to Six Head after we tried that chocolate fed steak at Six Head. They want to be part of your story. Yeah. And making so many projects and films, most of my work was around telling stories. I think there's not enough stories told in hospitality around restaurants yet. Take the Lebanese restaurant scene, for example. How many stories you can tell. That kibbeh Yiddish has 1 million stories. So why I was making a documentary about it. Even that little hummus dish, those skewers, it was influenced by so many cultures that we take pride in. And I think that's a great opportunity to look inwardly and say, like, this is not a product. This is more than a product. Every dish, every recipe, especially today when our history is under threat of just dissolving, being destroyed physically, our dishes might be telling stories that will keep our culture alive for many more generations, and we rebuild through those stories. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to work with hospitality brands, owners, founders, and people and tell their stories, because this is ultimately why people come to restaurants. They want to be seen, they want to be looked after, but at the same time, they want to associate with someone, with an idea, with a person, with a struggle. A restaurant that has a story, that has a journey, a founder story, a strong why behind it, will mean a lot more to the guest dining than a restaurant that or doesn't share that. Every restaurant has a struggle. Every restaurant has a story.
Exactly.
Every staff member, those people working more than 12 hours a day standing, everyone has an amazing story. There's so many stories to tell in hospitality. I think we're going to take a big part in that, telling stories around hospitality, its founders, its food, its history, its staff and team, chefs, wineries, producers, people that are working on creating those ingredients for us. We're an amazing playground, especially in Australia. Especially in Australia, when you get the best product in the world, followed by amazing communities from all over the world, and the best backdrop, obviously, the harbour. So yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of fun telling more stories around hospitality brands and people in Australia.
Tell me more. So you've got experience in hospitality, and then you love telling stories, and you have also experience telling stories. So tell me more about LW Creative, how it came to happen.
Look, it started with Lebanese Wanderers, of course. In 2015, when we started going to those different parts of Lebanon, because they were so new to us, we started taking pictures. Took pictures, edited them, increased the saturation a bit, and post them on Instagram in 2014 and 2015. And the reaction is, where is that? Where is that? Where is that? And it was very cool. We were getting a lot of attention. So the more we posted, the more people were like, take us with you, take us with you. And it was very cool. So 2015 and 2016, I decided to turn it into like a page. And I called it Lebanese Wanderers. And I started taking more people with me around Lebanon. And we'd go somewhere, we'd take a few shots, and we'd take some people with us. We'd go to the local bakery. We'd jump in the freezing river next to the waterfall. We'll go to Batroun. We called it a hidden gem. Discover Batroun, the hidden gem, with us. Imagine.
Nowadays, Batroun is packed. Cannot walk even.
It was a hidden gem for us. We were working with locals that are just starting small businesses in food and beverage or in sports and activities. And we were partnering up with them, and we were creating small events. And we wanted to promote these events. So we started taking small videos. We had a GoPro, and Rawad Al-Hashim, of course, the same guy, that we'd go back home, we'd roll a joint, and we'd start editing. And we'll create a video. I'll show you the first ever video that we made.
Yeah, I remember it.
That was Aura. مشوار رحيم مشوار. That was the first video. We started posting it. What do you mean 20,000 views on Facebook in 2015? So I was like, okay, that's cool. So we started making more videos to promote our events. And it was great because we were meeting people and trying to tell stories, and nothing was too sophisticated. Everything was very simple. And at the time, I was inspired by videos that were on AJ Plus. I don't know if you remember AJ Plus. They were the first to do like short form videos with text on screen. The colors were yellow, and my colors were kind of also yellow. Lebanese one was golden. I was like, okay, cool. And we were in Baskinta, and I was following the Lebanon Mountain Trail Guide in Baskinta. And in the Lebanon Mountain Trail Guide, they were talking about the literary trail. And there was, for lunch, you'd go to Ammu Krikor's Bakery. Oh. So we went to Krikor's Bakery, me and my friends and my dog and the whole team. And I had that 500D with me and the GoPro. And Ammu Krikor, like, what a guy. What a guy, what a legend, a living legend, Ammu Krikor. We had so much fun at his bakery. He has a million stories to tell. He's been a baker for 60 years now, probably. And we made a little edit, and we put this nice text on the screen with a little background music and a bit of what he was saying, and his wife, Tant Lord Habibi, Bawuskun. And we posted it. The next day, man, 100,000 views. Oh. And it was growing so fast. I have screenshots of me like showing it to my Lebanese Wanderers school. Like, guys, this is insane. What do you mean?
Breakthrough.
And in a few days, it reached 1 million views in 2016. And so let's say we posted on a Wednesday. On Sunday, people had to wait 4 hours at Ammu Krikor's Bakery to get that manouche. And that was mind-blowing for us. So we could make a video, tell a story, and it would have an immediate impact own a small business in the village that we wanted to promote. And that was a revelation for us. That was, okay, like we figured it out. We want to tell more stories about people. We'll sell more tours for ourselves. We'll get the attention we want. But at the same time, the small businesses in the villages are benefiting. What an amazing win-win situation. So we went forward, started making video after video after video. Trablus, Sur, Ramadan. We were going to Ramadan in Tripoli. And for me, living in an all-Christian area, experiencing Ramadan and being invited for iftar and staying until suhoor was a mind-blowing experience. And I was working with a director called Jad Rahme. Jad, shout out to you. And we created this video in Tripoli. And it was so cool to share it, because most of our friends were from the Christian areas in Lebanon. And going to Tripoli and filming that and making it look cool and interesting, while at the same time you watch the news and like, you don't go to Tripoli, it's dangerous. My mom is freaking out that we're going to Tripoli. We got to break that narrative. The narrative in Lebanon is very dividing. Lebanon is divided even more than it was in the Civil War, probably. There's invisible borders everywhere. Like, this is a Christian area. There's a street apart, this Christian area, there's a Shia area, there's a Sunni area. And we didn't understand that until we got to experience it. But my first experience was breaking it. Yeah. And you see the hospitality of the people in Tripoli and Sur, how they would take you in as a guest. And you'd understand that the media, traditional media, is feeding off that division, almost creating it. People want you to visit. And started going to Sur and filming Ramadan in Sur was an amazing experience. And now getting more followers on the page from all over the world, Lebanese people from all over the world, Sunnis and Christians and Shias from Tripoli and from Junior and from Beirut, checking out Ramadan in Sur and Ramadan in Tripoli, and 5 suites to have in Tripoli. We created a movement. We were working with beautiful people in Lebanon at the time, and we felt like we were doing something so valuable. We were sharing stories of people and culture and places and creating an impact, immediate impact. We're bringing the country together. It was some of the best time of my life, really. I think we made so much impact without even knowing, and we helped build a movement that is still kind of growing until today. And I look at people posting content today, like Jad, a good friend of mine, Life with Jad's account. Shout out to Jad. He's in a different village every single day, and he's uniting people through his work, man. He's showing you a different area. He's taking people, he's running tours, he's making videos. He's got, 500,000 followers, if not more. And he's bringing people together at a time where the country is so tense and divided, and Israel wants to divide it, and people have a lot of tension and hate towards each other. Creating content and telling stories serves a great message to bring a community and people together. And getting to do that here in Sydney, when I first came in, I thought I'm going to learn from the Lebanese Australians how they live together. And what I discovered is that the Lebanese Australians here have so much trauma from the time their parents came here in the 70s and 80s. And I think they need even more stories about each other to be connected. So coming here, working in hospitality, meeting the Lebanese people, I got inspired by them. And I wanted to tell them about the Lebanon that I know, about the Lebanon that can be intertwined, that can work together, that is one. That Lebanon that I was introduced to in tourism, and that Lebanon that I was introduced to in 2019, the uprising in 2019. It was so big, so huge for us to have hundreds of thousands of people in a square in Beirut, sharing conversations, agreeing and disagreeing about subjects, learning from each other for the first time ever, having a beer with each other, having a cigarette with each other, sitting down and having so much conversations. We realized we don't know each other. We really don't know each other in Lebanon. But at the same time, we are so similar. We're so similar. We're the same exact people. But yet everyone's trying to tell us that we're different. And that gave me more of a drive to tell more stories that connect people together, that make an impact, that invite people to be part of each other's stories.
And you did that. When you did your documentary, Sahtan Habibi, you went to different villages, different areas of Lebanon actually, and connected this story. And tell us more about it.
So when I came to Australia, after the first few years, I had a bit of energy and I wanted to create something to fulfill that message, to connect people together. And I thought there's nothing but food. There's nothing like food. And I wanted to create something called Sahtan Habibi, which is a series, a documentary, food documentary, that goes on a journey around Lebanon and around the world, discovering dishes and learning about their history and how differently those dishes were made. And because of my heritage and my grandpa and my village, kibbeh nayeh was my first choice. We grew up eating raw meat at my grandma's house, and it was the main dish on the table. Whatever was being made around it was supporting it. That was the main dish. And it was a message of love. Like, we'd wait for my grandma to make it on in the kitchen, and we'd sneak behind her, and she'd give us the mushe, from behind her shoulder. And so this is what I was inspired by. But while I was traveling, I discovered that in the north they do it so differently. It's pure and clean. It has no spices at all. Went to Tripoli and the Minya, and they put a red pepper paste inside of it and flowers, basil flowers. Like, wow, that's crazy. And you go to the south, and in the south, because they were closer to trade routes, there's 12 different herbs and spices inside of it, and they call it cumin, and it's so vibrant and flavor, it explodes in your mouth. And then you go to the Armenian population in Beirut, and they tell you about their history. So I was taking a journey around Lebanon, meeting people, having kibbeh nayeh at their houses and their restaurants, learning about it, learning about what halal butchery is and what kind of spices goes in the southern side of kibbeh nayeh, fraki, in my own village, and the purity of the north, and learning that we're telling the story of our history and of our people by following this one dish. And the second part of this documentary is coming to Australia and seeing what the community in Australia have done with that dish. Where are the people, the descendants of the people from the north? They're everywhere here. The Zghirtawiyya. And the people from the Danniyya and Minya, they're here. What have they done with this dish? What have the restaurants done? Have the recipes been kept pure? Or have they evolved into something completely modern and different, like what Ibi is doing in Noor and Alia? So that's the idea of the documentary. We filmed the first part in Lebanon, and we're yet to film the second part and bring it all together. So yeah, that's a beautiful passion project. One of my favorite projects that I worked on in Lebanon was around the Shuf Biosphere Reserve. I worked with Rawad Al-Hashim and Michel Fakhouri and the team, and we got to discover 9 villages in the Shuf area, in the mountain regions of Lebanon, and which is Mount Lebanon, which is an area that had a lot of war history. And we got to stay there for 10 days and film 9 villages around the Biosphere Reserve. We became family with those people. We ate their food. We learned about their culture. We realized that, yes, our parents' trauma of war and division is so valid. But at the same time, people want to get over that. People want to get past that. And we were able to share those stories. And كيف تروح على الجبل أو الدروز عند الدروز? What do you mean? I don't understand when the older generation talks about their fear of each other. And I think I want to keep it that way. I don't understand it. I refuse to believe it. The cool projects that we've worked on in Lebanon, the heist event, of course.
Oh, yes.
So this is also Paco's project in Haoura, and I was working with an amazing crew. That was Manuel Basile, who was flying his FPV drones. He was still new, still very, very new and young and excited. And I wanted to get that one shot, and I kept repeating and pushing to repeat that shot. And we finally got it. I was in a tent, Haysam on the right and Melissa on the left on their chairs, and the tent was open. I was sleeping in the tent, and Manuel had to pass with his FPV drone in the tent and out to show the lakes of Haoura, and he got it. It's crazy. I did a short film called Spirits of the Cedars. Yes. And I got to work with amazing talent from Lebanon. Ed Yazbek, also Manuel Basile, Carlos Haydamous, and Michel Fakhouri. And we were working on a journey of 3 Olympian athletes coming from Europe to Lebanon, females, snowboarding the Cedar Mountains, Cedar ski slopes, and mountain biking the Holy Valley, and going to Batroun to surf. And yes, that cliche of in Lebanon you can ski, snowboard, and swim in the same day, 45 minutes away. We wanted to go another level and actually show what this journey might be like. And it was so beautiful, accommodating these European athletes, getting to work with them and showing them our culture, giving them a kes ara and an almaza, giving them our food, and also sharing their stories and seeing Lebanon from their perspective. That was beautiful for me. That was such a beautiful achievement. It won People's Choice Award in the Lebanon Mountain Film Festival. So coming here and doing all this work at Six Head, I got so connected with the Lebanese community. Like, we don't have any family here. We had one cousin, he's left us now. I felt that the Lebanese community of Sydney, they adopted us. They took us in as if we were their own family. They invited us to their weddings, to their with their families. We really were so loved by the Lebanese community in Sydney, and I wanted to work with them to share that love to Lebanon. So I did my first fundraiser with Nancy Youssef in Six Head, and I was raising funds for the Lebanon Mountain Trail Association, which I worked with, and I helped tell stories in for a few years. And I'm the ambassador of the Lebanon Mountain Trail in Australia, in Sydney. And we got to raise $55,000. It was the first time that Lebanese Australians in Sydney learned about a project that connects the north of Lebanon to the south, 470 kilometers of trail. We're able to fundraise training of 30 local guides that are going to be able to stay in their own villages, work, start businesses, and take people around because of the Lebanese Australians. The year after, I got the privilege to work with Omar Sa'ar and the team and Raymond on Darb Mar Sharbil, which is a trail that connected, 130 kilometer trail that connects all the stages of life of Saint Sharbil, from where he was born to where he stayed to where he worked to where he served, from north of Lebanon in Wadi and Nubian Mountains to Baha Kafra where he was born, to Annaya, then from Annaya to Harissa. And we got to raise more than $1 million of funds from Australia. So we're telling stories about Lebanon. The community here is actively preserving Lebanon's stories and heritage with these kind of stories in collaboration. And so what a privilege to be able to work on projects like this.
Yeah.
And we got to work with many clients. Like 2 days ago, we were filming for my brother, Rani. And I was looking at you're holding your camera, you're taking videos of Rani, following him around, building his restaurant in Rouse Hill. And I looked at it, wow, what a privilege to get to work with your younger brother and film the pre-opening construction process of your other brother's restaurant. What a privilege. It's such a rewarding thing to be able to be doing. We're working with sommeliers like Alberto, the angry Italian sommelier, full of character. And we're trying to share his story and build his personal brand where he's the angry Italian sommelier that is opinionated. But at the same time, all he wants is to give you a proper experience, is to pair your food and your drink properly, is to demystify wine. And he might sound snobbish and so full of himself, but this is his character. So trying to humanize the sommelier in a way that he's actually also telling you a story. So rather than looking at ChatGPT and asking it for wine recommendations, the sommelier is there to share that story. We're working with education businesses to help share why they're different, why their story matters, why the story of the founder and its ethos matters, and how it disperses into this whole business. Sam that believes that your mind is limitless and instills that culture in his students and changes their lives actively every day in his tutoring centers, getting to share that story. We're a business mentor and an author called Nancy Youssef, and be able to share her message through content, share what she wants to share with the world is a privilege. It is a privilege. What is one of your favorite projects that you've worked on here?
Sam is one of them for sure, because I needed a Sam in my life. Also, it's like I enjoy telling stories of people that are just starting up, because this is why they're doing this. Their story needs to be heard. I don't want to make a cliche video, just like Instagram reel that you can just scroll in a couple of seconds from,
Yeah.
because that's not going to serve anything. But if I know why this restaurant owner, his story and why he's doing this, I want to go to his restaurant and experience it. And I think that's what LW Creative celebrates, telling people stories and, like you said, humanizing them and giving an emotional connection,
True.
rather than doing generic content that's going to just be scrolled.
So many people are doing great content. Like, look at Karima from Sunday Kitchen. You don't need to be a crazy expert. Like, she's got a small window. She puts her phone on. She records a voiceover. She cooks for us. And she's sharing so much of our culture and stories through the simplest form of videos. Content that I love to watch, Roberto Ricotta's
This
content.
guy is great.
What a guy. What a silly guy. What an amazing job he's done. Telling the stories of Messina's team and stuff, and sharing the stories of Rusty Rabbit's team. They do such good work. I love watching content from Juniper Secrets, Juniper Scents, I think, in Lebanon. Sharing stories in the mountains. I'm like, I want to do this too. So many people you can be inspired by and learn from. And so many people we can help share their story. So maybe this is our first episode talking about our projects. We'll be here talking with our guests and our clients, telling their stories.
Yeah.
So cheers to that, Habu.
Too many more.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.